Something feels off, and deep down, you already know it. Maybe it's the way prices keep creeping up, even when the headlines say inflation is under control. Maybe it's that quiet anxiety when you check your bank account and realize your money doesn't stretch the way it used to. Or maybe it's that strange feeling when everyone around you is acting normal, but nothing about the economy feels normal anymore. Here's the truth: most people don't want to face financial crashes, don't announce themselves. They don't send warnings. They don't wait until you're ready. They happen slowly and then all at once. Think about this. Before every major financial collapse, there's always a moment where everything looks fine on the surface. Jobs are stable. Markets are rising. People are spending like nothing can go wrong. And yet, beneath that calm surface, pressure is building. Debt piles up. Risk multiplies. Systems stretch to their limits. And then something breaks. But here's what's even more unsettling. The people who lose the most aren't always the reckless ones. They're often the ones who believed everything would stay the same, the ones who waited, the ones who trusted that things would work out. Right now, we are standing at one of those moments again. You can feel it if you pay attention. The cracks are there: rising debt, fragile markets, uncertain jobs. And yet, most people are doing nothing. They're waiting for clarity, waiting for certainty, waiting for the right time. But the truth is, by the time it feels obvious, it's already too late. This isn't about fear. This is about awareness, because the people who protect their money don't react to crashes, they prepare before they happen. And today, you're going to see 3 smart moves that could mean the difference between losing everything and quietly securing your future while others panic. The question is, will you act now, or will you wait like everyone else? Because time is running out. You've been told your whole life to play it safe. Save your money, keep it in the bank, trust the system, and everything will be fine. It sounds logical. It sounds responsible. But what if that advice was designed for a different world, a world that no longer exists? Imagine your money as ice sitting in the sun. It looks solid, it feels stable. But slowly, silently, it's melting. You don't notice it moment to moment, but over time, there's less and less of it. That's what inflation does. That's what hidden economic pressure does. It erodes your wealth without making a sound. Most people don't realize this because they're focused on the number in their account, not the value behind it. If your savings grow by 2%, but prices rise by 5%, you're not winning. You're losing just slowly enough not to panic. Now here's where it gets dangerous. When economies weaken, governments and institutions often respond by injecting more money into the system. On the surface, this looks like support, stimulus, relief. But in reality, it often accelerates the erosion of purchasing power. It's like pouring water on that melting ice, hoping it somehow freezes again. This is why waiting is so risky, because by the time a crash becomes obvious, your money may have already lost a significant portion of its real value. And at that point, you're no longer protecting wealth, you're trying to recover it. So what's the first smart move? You stop thinking of money as something to store and start thinking of it as something to position. Positioning means asking a different question. Not, where is my money safest, but where is my money strongest? It's a shift in mindset, a shift from passive to strategic. For example, instead of holding all your cash in one place, you begin to diversify into assets that have historically held value during uncertainty. Things that don't depend entirely on fragile systems, things that have intrinsic demand. This doesn't mean taking reckless risks. It means understanding that safety is not about standing still, it's about adapting. Think of it like being on a boat in rough waters. If you stay frozen, you capsize. But if you adjust your position, shift your weight, and move with the waves, you stay afloat. The people who thrive during economic shifts are not the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who move early, the ones who understand that stability is not permanent. And right now, stability is an illusion many people are clinging to. But you don't have to, because once you see the game clearly, you stop reacting and you start preparing. And that changes everything. There's a silent trap that catches even financially responsible people, and it's more dangerous than reckless spending. It's the illusion of control. You might have a steady income, a decent savings account, maybe even some investments. On paper, everything looks fine. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your entire financial life depends on a single source, you are more vulnerable than you think. Imagine a table with one strong leg. It can stand for a while. It might even hold a lot of weight. But the moment that leg weakens, everything collapses. That's what relying on one income stream is like. And in uncertain economic times, income is often the first thing to shake. Companies cut costs, jobs disappear, opportunities shrink, and suddenly, something that felt stable becomes unpredictable. This is why the second smart move is not about saving more, it's about expanding your sources of income. But here's where most people misunderstand this idea. They think it means working more hours, taking on more stress, or chasing side hustles that burn them out. That's not the goal. The goal is leverage. Leverage means creating systems where your effort continues to produce results even when you're not actively working. It's about building streams, not buckets, because buckets require constant filling. Streams keep flowing. This could mean learning a skill that allows you to earn independently. It could mean creating something once that continues to generate value over time. Or it could mean investing in opportunities that produce consistent returns. The specifics don't matter as much as the principle. You're shifting from dependence to resilience. And here's the psychological shift that changes everything. When you have multiple streams of income, fear loses its grip on you. You're no longer tied to a single outcome. You're no longer at the mercy of one decision, one employer, or one system. You become flexible. And flexibility is power. Think about the people who navigate crisis successfully. They're not always the richest, but they are the most adaptable. They can shift, adjust, and respond without panic because they're not trapped. Now imagine the opposite. Someone with one income source, rising expenses, and no backup plan. Every piece of bad news feels like a threat. Every economic change feels personal. And that fear leads to poor decisions. This is why building multiple income streams is not just a financial strategy, it's a psychological shield. It gives you options. And in uncertain times, options are everything. You don't need to build 10 streams overnight. You start with one. You nurture it. You learn, and then you expand, because the goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. The goal is to create a safety net that doesn't rely on hope. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation is. And once you start building that resilience, you'll realize something powerful. You're no longer waiting for the future. You're shaping it. There's a hidden danger in how most people think about investing, and it's not what you expect. It's not greed. It's not ignorance. It's comfort. Comfort is what keeps people doing the same thing, even when the world around them is changing. It's what makes someone hold on to an asset simply because it has always worked. It's what makes people ignore warning signs because facing them feels uncomfortable. But markets don't reward comfort. They reward awareness. Think of the financial system like a living organism. It evolves. It adapts, shifts based on countless forces. What worked 5 years ago may not work tomorrow. And yet, most people cling to outdated strategies because they feel safe. This is where the third smart move comes in. You stop chasing what's familiar and start understanding what's changing. This doesn't mean jumping on every trend or reacting to every headline. It means developing the ability to read the bigger picture, to see patterns, to recognize shifts before they become obvious. For example, when debt levels rise globally, when currencies weaken, when economic policies become more aggressive, these are not isolated events. They are signals. Signals that the system is under pressure, and pressure always leads to change. The question is, will you be positioned for that change or blindsided by it? One of the most powerful ways to prepare is by diversifying not just your assets, but your thinking. Instead of putting all your trust in one type of investment, you spread your exposure across different areas. Some assets perform well during growth, others during uncertainty. The goal is not to predict the future perfectly. It's to be prepared for multiple outcomes. Think of it like having different tools in a toolbox. You don't know exactly what problem you'll face, but you know you'll be ready to handle it. And here's where psychology plays a crucial role. When you diversify intelligently, you reduce emotional decision-making. You're less likely to panic during downturns or become overconfident during booms. You become steady, and steadiness is rare. Most people swing between fear and greed. They buy when prices are high because everyone else is buying. They sell when prices are low because everyone else is selling. It's a cycle driven by emotion, not logic. But when you understand the system, you step outside that cycle. You start making decisions based on strategy, not sentiment. And over time, that discipline compounds. It builds confidence. It builds clarity. And most importantly, it builds resilience. Because the goal is not to avoid every loss. The goal is to ensure that no single event can destroy you. That's real security. That's real wealth. And it doesn't come from following the crowd. It comes from thinking differently. There's one final truth that most people never fully accept. And it's the reason they stay stuck even when they know something needs to change. It's this: doing nothing is still a decision. It might feel neutral, it might feel safe, but in reality, it's a choice to let external forces shape your future. It's a choice to drift instead of direct. And in times of economic uncertainty, drifting is dangerous. Think about a ship in the ocean. If the captain steps away and does nothing, the ship doesn't stay still. It moves, it drifts, it gets pulled by currents, pushed by winds, and eventually it ends up somewhere unintended. Your financial life works the same way. If you don't actively guide it, something else will. Inflation will. Market shifts will. Policy changes will. And by the time you realize where you've drifted, correcting course becomes much harder. This is why the final step is not just about strategy. It's about ownership. You take full responsibility for your financial direction, not in a stressful or overwhelming way, but in a deliberate and empowered way. You start asking better questions. Where is my money going? What risks am I exposed to? What changes could impact me in the next few years? You don't need perfect answers, you just need awareness. Because awareness leads to action. And action leads to control. One of the biggest mindset shifts you can make is understanding that wealth is not built in moments of certainty. It's built in moments of doubt, when others hesitate. When everyone feels comfortable, opportunities are often limited. But when uncertainty rises, when fear spreads, that's when positioning matters most. That's when smart moves create outsized results, but only for those who act. The people who wait for everything to feel safe rarely move at all. And by the time they do, the opportunity has passed. So here's the real question you need to ask yourself. Not, will there be a crash? But, am I prepared if there is? Because preparation is what separates those who survive from those who struggle. And the window to prepare is not infinite. It's now. Right now, you have the chance to make decisions that your future self will thank you for. To build resilience before it's needed. Create strength before it's tested. And that's the ultimate advantage. Because when the storm comes, and it always does, you won't be scrambling. You'll be ready. If you want to stay ahead, build real financial security, and learn how to think differently about money, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because the decisions you make today will define your financial future for years to come.